Okay, welcome to part 1 of the all bosses unrestricted guide for the Bloodborne speedrun. I'm going to be breaking this up into parts, and I'm also going to go more in depth in this particular route than I did with the first guide that I did that was more vanilla. First things first, my controls are as follows. Some people use auto adjust on. I prefer to keep it off. Controller vibration I don't like to have at all. I feel like it would just mess up movements if anything at best. You don't really need vibration for anything. Sensitivity, I believe the default setting is 5. I keep it as such, and keep these at normal. Environment, these don't matter. I would say there's for sound effects, music doesn't matter, voice doesn't really matter. Sound effects is the only one I think matters to me, and I like to keep it pretty, like if I don't have it set high here, I like to have my headphones set relatively high, because there's a few parts in the game where you need to listen carefully for, like, for instance, the fishing hamlet skip, the quit out for that. And there's a couple other areas it's nice to have sound effects cleanly audible. So this is the only important one, so keep that at a decent level. I like to do brightness all the way up so I can see stuff. And if it's, I feel like if it's too dark and then you have like a glare on your screen at all, like depending on what time of the day you're playing, it can really mess things up. So I prefer to go brighter. And these don't matter. Okay, so we got a new game. Name doesn't matter. Most people use female here. You can use whatever you want. So I'm just going to use a pre-saved character. So we'll load up the redhead, best head. And then the origin, since we're doing all bosses unrestricted, we're going to go with the best starting class you can do, which is military vet. The reason being is because you have the points allocated in a way such that you're not losing any value, really. This is the best bang for your buck starting off. As you can see, the highest points you have are strength and skill, which are your two main damage attributes for the soul cleaver. So pick military vet and then go to start. And we're probably going to go up through, actually let me pull up my splits. Probably going to go up through maybe, I don't know, shadows for this part of the guide. So yeah, I'm going to keep music off and everything. Okay, first things first, stamina management is not huge in this game, but it is pertinent at times. When you start off, you're gonna want to learn how to do claw grip. And as far as things to do to be able to speedrun this game, I could talk about those later. There are tools out there and videos and such to help you set up, you know, things like live split, making save files, learning how to claw grip, and anything else I'm forgetting at the moment. I might come back and make some videos on those. I touch on it a bit in the other guide that I made, so you can reference that. I know I go over save files. I don't have any videos or anything on claw grip. And then, what was the other thing? Oh yeah, live split. I could actually make a live split video perhaps. So first things first. So I'm mainly just going to be touching on the actual game itself for now, instead of all the extra stuff. I gotta sneeze real quick. Oh, I had to mute for that. Holy crap. Okay, so basically what I'm doing right now is my left hand is a standard grip. I have my index finger hovering above L1 and L2, my thumb on the analog stick, you know, nothing unusual there. And my right hand's actually claw grip, so thumb on right analog stick, middle finger for R1, R2, and then my index finger's curled and using sort of the side of the higher part of it to hold circle. And then I'll like move my thumb over real quick when I get to a door or something, like while keeping my index finger on circle, I'll move my thumb over to X to hit the door. Now here, after you open this door, this is the first part, I mean, just right out of the gate, first thing you're gonna do is you need to do menuing while running. So what we're gonna do is start running, so same grip, and then while I'm menuing while running, I'm gonna kind of have to do a sort of a light claw grip on my left hand as well. So while we're running down here, so start sprinting, don't let go of circle, open up your options, move down to which slot you want it on, and then you're going to place the item. I'll go more into detail with menuing the game, because there's some cool functions with R1, R2, L1, L2, and some other things that are really nice, sort of for like more optimal menuing. Let's do that run again real quick though. I want to talk a little bit about stamina management. Like I said, it's not super important, but if you want to sort of save those free seconds throughout the run, you want to kind of keep it in mind. So after we open this door, we run down, you know, we do our menuing, whatever. Once I get about right here, I like to stamina manage all the way up to about half roughly. And then we go up here. It's actually a little too much, but you can sort of use that as a guide to kind of how far you need to manage it. And then here you just hold down circle, get up to this gate as soon as possible, and watch the wolf just be a crazy man. Now this part, I'm gonna kind of fuck off for a second here just to talk about this. First things first, I mean, you have a little bit of stamina management coming out of the gate, you have some menuing or running, but this part right here is the worst thing to ever happen to Bloodborne, is the clinic skip, especially this version of it. I'm not doing anything to set up for it yet, I'm just kind of wandering around for a second. I hate it so much. Okay, so the essence of this is to get him to do a double grab attack, and on the second grab, you actually want him to latch onto you, and he pushes you through the gate right here. You can do another version of this skip over at the top of the clinic, where Yosef could greet you, but it's slower. So what I'm going to do here, basically, okay, we're gonna actually go for an attempt here. Once he latches on, we're going to spam all the top buttons, R1, L1, R2, L2, all of them. Just go crazy on them. The faster you mash them, the less damage you're gonna take from the wolf, and it seems like it helps you let go a bit faster. So we're gonna go ahead and go for the setup here. The part I like to use, sorry, it's kind of weird to like deal with this guy while I'm trying to think through. Anyway, so I'm gonna go to the spot where I want to set up to kind of bait him into doing the two grabs. So we'll go ahead and let him come to us now. We're gonna go over here to this little stone, roughly. See the little tiny stone between my two legs? So this rough little patch here, where I'm gonna stand and wait for him. He didn't do it, so I'm gonna go back over here. And this is what's so bad about this. As far as we know, there's no consistent way to do this. It's a lot of just hoping that he gives you the attack that you want. Okay, there it is. And we're gonna line our character up. You kind of want to be flush on the gate. And like I said, I'm spamming L1, L2, R1, R2 to get through there. You kind of want the lineup to be as sort of straight onto the gate as you can, from what I've seen and what I've experienced. Although it can work in an angle as well. So we clip through the gate here, and this ends up saving, I believe, about 2.5 minutes if you get it quickly. Like you go open the main gate, the large gate that we opened originally, and you come back, you set up, and he pretty much instantly does the attack, then you should be quitting out around 1 minute and, I don't know, 5 seconds or something. But that's it's pretty rare that you just get that lucky, because one, it's rare to even get him to do the double grab, and two, it's rare, even more rare, to get him to do it the first thing. So after he grabbed you, you're spamming your top buttons, all R1, R2, or L1, L2, to get through. Once you get through, the first thing you're going to do is run right over here to this lever and pull it as soon as possible. Go ahead and get your menu pulled up. Like while your character's doing the animation for the lever, go ahead and pull this up. Don't use it yet though, because you need to actually, as sort of a signal when you're safe to quit out, you walk your character, or not walk, but you can't sprint, because you can't push circle right now. It'll change your menuing. So once you pull this up, start walking over to this gate, and your character will stop right here because the gate's not open yet. And once you pretty much touch the gate, quit out. Some people get confused. Hell, I was kind of confused about it for a while. Some people get confused as to why you're allowed to quit out while an animation's happening here. But the thing is, the animations that aren't allowed are the ones your hunter is actually involved in. So if your hunter's pulling the lever, like physically pulling it, and you quit out, the run would be invalid. Or if you're opening a gate, your hunter's actually doing the opening of the gate, and you quit out during the animation, your run's going to be invalid. But what happens here is we already did our animation on the lever, and we're not actually involved in anything when we're moving over to the gate. So when we quit out, what we're waiting for is basically the gate to be open enough to qualify as officially being open when we quit out. So when we come back in, it's not closed. This will be pertinent a couple more times in the run, depending on how you do it. Okay, so we spawned, we did a little bit of light menuing while running. We've done the clinic skip, which is one of the worst parts of the run now. And then after you've quit out, you have the gate open. Now we're gonna run up here, and we're gonna get these vials. Now this might feel like it's peachy, but it's actually not peachy. They're pretty damn necessary for this route. Go ahead and get the lever. I'm actually gonna kill this guy if I can real quick. Hold on. Yeah, let's get him out of the way, just to show you something here. Okay, so whenever you actually open up this or pull the lever for the ladder, you can sort of like keep circle down. So like we pull the device, which we've already done it, you kind of keep circle down, and you can sort of animation cancel. You like kind of run up this a little bit. I can't show you now since it's already pulled, but you sort of run up a bit, and then you move over, and you get sort of like, as you're falling, you hit X and you pick it up, and then you get a light animation cancel. It's not very important here because you're not going to be running over there to get the 6 mollies or anything. That's just something to keep in mind. Okay, so anyway, so yeah, we just pull the lever, go over here, get these 2 vials, and of course this guy's still going to be alive while you're doing all this. So if you've done the clinic skip and you weren't mashing all 4 buttons like I was telling you, you're probably going to take more damage than I did. And if your health's much lower than mine, it's really easy for that guy to finish you off when you're trying to climb the ladder. So that's another reason to spam it really fast with all 4 buttons instead of just 2. Okay, so we pulled the lever at the ladder. We're gonna go light the lamp for Central Yarnum, and we're gonna go back to the dream. I might actually make a save file for this part, just to show a couple times the multiple weapon pickup. It's one of the easier things to do, but at the same time, it's also really easy to mess up. Okay, So I think I'm going to go ahead and quit out here. Yes, let's go ahead and quit out. The reason this part of the run is a little, I guess, a little weird to learn, but is just because of how menuing is in this game in general. I'm gonna lightly touch on this real fast. I'm making a save file, so we quit out of the game. We go to settings, and we scroll down to application save data management, and then once we go into here, it'll force us to close the application, which is fine. And then we go to save data in system storage. I have a flash drive right now. It's like a 16 gig flash drive. I think you need about 32 megs of space to save this game, which isn't a lot. So if you get like a 1 gig flash drive, it's plenty for what you need. I don't even know how small they go these days. So you can pick them up for like a couple bucks probably. But yeah, I've touched more on that in another tutorial, and I might make another separate one. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm gonna go here. We're gonna copy to USB storage device. Copy over. This takes a little bit to copy, but I'm probably gonna have to do this a lot, just to sort of show skips multiple times, show boss fights multiple times, explain a few things like that. But we're doing it now to show the first dream segment when you're actually picking up. You don't have to get the cane, but I would highly recommend it, because not only for a beginner do you want it, for the orphanage key skip later, which I'll go into way more detail later once we get there. You also want it because the current route, the optimal route, you actually do a ladder cancel warp, and because of that, you can't, if you mess up the orphanage key skip, you can't just simply run back down the hallway a little bit and quit out and then come try it again, because with the ladder cancel warp, to go back through to Amelia more optimally, you'll just warp back to the ladder instead of just spawning in the hallway to try the skip again. Okay, so anyway, so grabbing the 2 weapons, what you're gonna do is, it actually doesn't matter how fast you sort of start running at the start. What matters is once you see the messengers sort of spawn up, that sort of starts the timer of, okay, we gotta go fast. It's not that bad. Like I said, the bad part is the way menuing is sort of delayed in this game. You kind of just got to get a feel for it. So what we're gonna do is run up to right about where the tip of my head is. Right there is where it spawns, but you'll see it. So I'm gonna sprint up here. I'm gonna do the inputs to grab the weapon as fast as possible, and then once I've left out of grabbing the weapon, I'm going to start spamming X again to get the messengers triggered once more before they actually go away, and then that allows us to pick up the second weapon. We're going to run up here, we're going to spam through, pick up the cleaver, and start spamming X again. Now you see I can actually stop here and relax. You don't want to exit out, but now that I have the menu pulled up, I mean, it's a speedrun, so you want to do this fast, but this is what you're trying to get to as quick as possible, so you can actually get the second weapon. So the inputs are, you get up here, you move down, X, left, X, bam, you got your second weapon. So you can see we have cleaver, cane. I'm going to take those off for now, because you ideally want to be either on an elevator if you can, or while you're full sprinting, you want to do your menuing. So we pick those 2 up, and then we come up here, pick this up, the hunter pistol, which is the hunter pistol is the best out of the 2 here, at least. The hunter pistol is used just for, well, I say just, mainly for parrying, but also a couple of other things, aggroing ROM, shooting one of the DLC mobs, stuff like that. So pick the pistol, and as soon as you come out of here, the reason we equipped our hunter mark earlier is because we want to go back to Central Yarnum, And instead of running back down here and interacting with this and then warping to Central Yarnum, you can actually just mark out from where you picked up the gun. So hit square, X, mark out, and we'll go right back to Central Yarnum. And the way this route works, instead of going to Gascoigne right now, we're actually going to be going to Shadows. And I'll show the Shadows freeze and whatnot. So immediately turn your character on backwards and start sprinting. And when you jump off here, what I like to do is sort of hit the top of the ladder and do like a 90-degree left swing to, and then jump off immediately. And then I start spamming circle. I change my grip here to spam circle with my index finger. And this is one of those things I might have to show in a different video, just to I'll just kind of talk about claw grip and to talk about how the best way to spam circle to avoid stored rolls, because I get a lot of stored rolls if I don't change my grip. So if I'm falling and I'm just like spamming circle with my thumb, then it usually ends badly. But if I actually change my grip and use the tip of my index finger with my thumb kind of on the side of it, and you kind of like almost do like a muscle spasm thing, it spams it really well. Okay, here, if you're just starting, feel free to just grab onto this ladder and slide down while holding circle to go the fastest. But if you want to be optimal, you can sort of use this. Okay, so this block right here where my head is in the center of right now, sort of right below the grave, you can use that as a general marker for where you need to fall. I mean, if you feel better lined up more to the left or right, whatever, but you're gonna kind of come at this at an angle. So as you're sprinting up here, you want to kind of get it lined up a bit. It can be pretty scary. You gotta build up your confidence here. I would just say practice it a bunch. So yeah, we're gonna be running from here, and we're gonna probably heal about here because we have half health from the drop. And after you heal, you want to come up here and you're kind of almost full sprinting. I like to let go about here of sprint and slow down just a little bit and fall off about here. And that was actually a little further left than I wanted, because you can actually, if you hit more to this right side, so like let's face this way, if you hit more to this right side about here and you roll backwards, you can hit this board and you see how it kind of negates your hard fall. So you can actually go for this board if you want to, and you can immediately be running over here. Otherwise, you're gonna have to hit it, roll off, and then roll towards the ladder here, which is not a huge thing. And then this one, you cannot fall down. I know I've tested it a bit to try and find a place you could safely fall, but I didn't find anything. Okay, once you get here, you're gonna want to hold circle and sprint the whole way. You don't need this cold blood or anything, and just take this path right here. Kind of hug as much as you can, but don't hug enough to actually run into things. Go ahead and heal. That guy back there that you hear walking can be kind of an issue. I would have to go through multiple times to show like all of his attacks he can do if you're running that same path. But yeah, I feel like it's minor detail. I'm going to quit out for the sake of this tutorial here and probably make a save file. Yeah, let's just go ahead and save here. Now, normally in the run, if we're talking, I'm going to try and go there over all the optimal strats that I know of. You would run in here, pick up the elixirs, and just run back out. You'll have 4 dogs chasing you, but only 1 or 2 are usually an issue, and a lot of times they don't really ever hit you, but they definitely do about, I'd say a third of the time they hit you. And if they do, it's actually kind of a problem because your vials become an issue. So if you wanted to sort of help out with all this, if you have a fear that you're going to get hit by the dogs, at the very beginning of the game, when you run past the first wolf, just in that room past him over to the left, there's 2 vials. So if you wanted, you could actually pick those up, but we skipped them. as we're trying to do this optimally. And that time really adds up. If you think of like, oh, I'll just pick these up, this takes 2 or 3 seconds. I'll pick this item up here, it takes 5 seconds. And like, you think about it, it's like, man, if I want to pick those 6 items up, I could have saved an extra 30 seconds or something. So you got to be mindful of that kind of thing. It's good early on when you're first learning to get extra vials. It's an easy thing to sort of cut out of the run later. You just simply don't pick them up. But just keep that in mind. Okay, so when we're running down here, I like to go off to the right. So I run over this direction and I fall off about here. And that keeps us from getting a hard fall. What some people do though, is they run off and they kind of jump from this general area. And they try and get an animation cancel on the pellets down below in the little hut. You can actually see them glowing below my hat. Because of their placement, you can pick them up through the wall instead of having to run all the way around, which the door you can see is like right here. And normally people would run inside and grab them. So we came from this side here. We fall down. I kind of go to this point here, run down, skip the hard fall. You can see you get the prompt here. Pick those pellets up, that's 4. And run up, or what was that, 6 actually. Get these vials. There's a hole to your right here, so be careful. I like to heal about right here past those boards, and then don't let go of sprint for a minute. Kind of run this line here, or to hug the right a bit, just in case. I build up my stamina to full here. It's one of the rare points where you actually want a stamina manage. Menu while running, put your beast blood pellets where you need them. I like to do slot 3. Kind of a quick circle at letting go of... Do a quick circle there with your character and then let go of circle on your actual controller. I like to do that to build up a bit of stamina. If you're sort of running out when I do, it all depends on how you stamina manage. This guy here, I'm going to go ahead and run and do it first. So lock onto him, let go of circle when you get close so you're able to dash. Hopefully you know enough about the game to know the difference between rolling and dashing. If you're locked onto something and you think you want to roll, you can't roll. It's just always going to be a dash. Whereas if I'm not locked onto him, you can see I'm just rolling. But that's stuff you hopefully will understand about the game already if you are trying to speedrun. Okay, since this guy is chasing me, let's see if he'll follow me all the way down. I wanted to show the jump across the stump here. Go away. I might just quit out. Okay, go away. Anyway, so say you're running here. Let's go back up a little ways. Hopefully you won't get in our way. So this is where you're running past the guy. I know this is a little bit disorienting probably, but I want to just show the jump real fast if he's out of the way. So you're sprinting down. You run and you jump about right here-ish. And you'll hit the top of these gravestones. And you sort of just, you don't let go of sprint, and you sort of roll off right here. Just to save a little bit of time. Now run this way. Grab this twin shard. This part's kind of scary. You want to hug these trees pretty tightly. You don't have to be too severe with it, but the reason I'm saying is it's really, really easy to slip off here. Actually, I'm going to show what it's like if you run and don't hug the right enough. You slip off like that, and you die. And this is why I made a save file. I'm just going to show this whole section again, just because I want to show it like sort of more live action instead of stopping and explaining things. Yeah, be careful with that. Sort of hug those 2 little trees on the right side. You can be a bit extreme with it. You'll eventually get a feel for things like that, or you know you don't have to go as extreme as you would be when you're being a little extra peachy when you're first learning things. But just keep in mind that it is possible to slip off there pretty easily if you're not paying attention. And the speed at which you fall, it's hard to react to it and quit out in time. So we're gonna run this line here, get about there, run off to not get the hard fall, get the 6 beast blood pellets, pick up these 5 vials, and then watch our right side, make sure we don't fall here. Once I get to the end of these boards here, be able to full, and hold sprint the whole way. Kind of hug the right relatively tight, and then hug right a bit more here to avoid that guy. And I like to let my stamina go to full here. Go ahead and menu while running. All I really need are my pellets. Do a quick circle here. If you wanted to, you could actually wait to heal right there, which is what a lot of people do. I just like to heal up to full early because of the guys in the oil pond. They tend to be jerks and hit you pretty easily. Okay, now running here, I like to lock onto this guy pretty much as soon as I can. Sort of let go of circle in anticipation of a dash. Build my stamina up back to full, and then run this line and jump about right here-ish. And I was gonna say, actually, on that part, let me show you real fast. If you do this too far to the left, there's actually a spot like right at the tip of my hat, like right there where your hunter can land. It's like if you go too far right, even the tree can kind of bump you there as well. But if you hit that spot perfectly, yeah, you get stuck. And I'm pretty sure it's like a soft lock of the game because you can't get out. Like even if you quit out, I think the best thing you could do is probably mark out if you can. You don't know, you might still be floating. Okay, so I pick up all these twin shards. Here I kind of get to this item here and run off at a slight angle. And when you drop down, you'll hit the snake and rally your health back a little bit. It's not that important because your health from this point on doesn't matter as long as you can survive the fall damage. So we're running this general way. I like to whip my character left on this drop, so fall about here, whip left, start spamming circle to avoid the stored roll. And then from this tree, I like to run, and this is the start of the Shadows Freeze. So we're nearing the end of part 1 of this tutorial. And because of that, I'm going to go ahead and quit out and make one more save file. We'll do the skip into the Shadows Arena, the actual Shadows fight, and probably the dream segment, and then I'll cut it and move to part 2. Did I ever make the save file? No. Just in case, we'll make a save file here. Shadows Freeze is, man, it's gotten easier. We used to sort of run up a route and it was really finicky and you could drop off really easily and you have to sort of quit out when you hit the top to prevent it. Now you really don't have to do any quit outs if you do it correctly, and it's like a whole nother method. The only thing is, you do have to quit out once you get into this. Once you trigger the Shadows fight, you have to quit out. There's no way around that. But everything before, you don't have to quit out, but you have the option to if things go wrong. Like if you take too long to get up this first part and the mobs get really close to you, you might want to quit out to reset their positioning. Or if you're in the middle part of the skip and you fall through the ground, you'll have to quit out then. And then you have an issue where sometimes you'll get in this endless loop of falling. And if that happens, your run just dies. But I'll try and explain this as the best I can. Okay, so I'm spawning in here. This is where I'm like, I'm sort of running down, getting here. And we're gonna run about here. And once we get, okay, you can see kind of how it's like pushing us back a little bit. You can kind of run straight ahead, so start sprinting and jump. And then once we're up to the second part, I like to use this part right in front of my face, basically. I like run my hunter into, so full sprint. And then once I'm sprinting, I kind of whip my character to the left at like a almost 90-degree angle. I don't actually look this way, I just move my left stick. And then once I start running just a little bit, just enough to be able to jump, I jump pretty much instantly. So start sprinting and then just left and jump into the wall. This is one of those things, like a lot of skips in this game, there's a lot of ways to do it. And a lot of runners do it slightly different variations. Some copy each other completely, but a lot of skips have a lot of leeway There might be precise ways to do them, but usually there's multiple precise ways to do it. Very few things that we've found so far are just straight up pixel perfect. So you can actually jump off of this again, I believe. Where is it actually? Over here? Yeah, you can like jump back out so you can practice it. This is like one of the easiest skips to practice. It's not necessarily an easy skip. I mean, that's arguable, but actually practicing is nice. We run and get up here, start sprinting, move it just a little bit left until we're actually sprinting to get a jump. And then you have to be kind of careful once you're in this area, because if you move too far to the left over here, you just fall off and you have to quit out. Also, just a real quick thing, practice these inputs to be able to pull up the quit out menu. You want to be able to pull that up pretty fast. So we've done step 1. We've gotten up that tree and jumped through to out of bounds. Now your next step is to come over here. Like I said, don't move too far left, you're gonna fall off. So you're kind of on the edge already. This part right here is where we're trying to get. Now, this part's pretty strange. I'm gonna take off my chest piece just to show it. If your character is sort of bumping into the sort of rock here, that's not ideal. You want to kind of be locked into place, kind of snug up against the roots. And to get your character there nicely, you usually want to be sort of rolling into it. And did you see how my character just pushed left there? Now, once you're in position, you can kind of see when I'm, without holding circle, if I'm holding my left analog stick all the way forward, you can see how my left arm and the root are sort of parallel to each other. That's kind of what you want. You're kind of like locked in place. You don't really move around that much. You see how I moved too far left there and I fell though? It's probably good to show. But you kind of want to, sometimes you just fall into place without having to roll, but usually people just roll into it to sort of get you sort of snug in the root. And then once you're snug in place, then you'll do the part 2 of this. So right here, kind of move to the right, roll maybe once or twice, kind of get snug in here. Now this part's really weird and probably the hardest part of the skip to me. You want to start sprinting and then slowly turn your character to their left as you're running. So here we're going right, and then we turn left slowly like this. Now there's a part, once you keep turning, I don't actually use my right analog stick much here. I'm just turning my actual character, not my camera. Once you turn a certain distance, your character's going to start moving slightly. So keep moving your character slightly, but don't do it too aggressively. But just slightly after your character starts moving, you're going to want to try and jump. And when you jump, I like to go like an extreme angle to the right, almost like 90 degrees. And you're going to you kind of jump around to the next area. So we're kind of in place here. So I changed my grip here to, instead of a claw grip, I like to use just a standard grip and have my thumb on circle for this part as I'm running forward. And so we're slightly turning our character. Once we start moving, we kind of jump to the right. And this is what I'm talking about, the timing of it. It's like you can't jump as soon as you start moving. You have to wait just a split second and then you want to jump. And like I said, when I jump, I actually angle my character really far to the right so I can sort of jump safely into this section right here. Okay, so once you're over here, the hard part's done. Now, if you walk forward, you're going to bump into something, and it's like an invisible wall, and it kind of goes down a good ways. Pretty much what you're looking for is if you see this sort of, let's see if I can get my head to pop up where I want it. Roughly right, I can't really show it. You see how there's like kind of a break in the middle of the screen almost between the two sort of roots? That's like the general area you want to sort of wrap around. That makes sense. And that lets you go over here. you just have to push your character up against the invisible wall and just sort of find your way around it. You're gonna kind of go to the left like I just did until it like lets you go through. Once you're here, it's super simple. There's a tree right here, and then there's this sort of building slash or this wall here. I just kind of run through these two. It's pretty lenient. Like you have a pretty big area you can run around on. I just go between this tree and that wall there, and then I use this little tree here as a guide to sort of go down to aggro shadows. So I'm like holding sprint the whole way. So I'm like just taking this path, going between the tree, going just to the right of this tree. And your first time that you drop here, it doesn't matter. Like you can get stuck a bunch of places, but you're just trying to aggro shadows. Like you could actually go the glitchless way, the dev intended way, and aggro the shadows fight, and then you could mark out or quit out or die, and then you could come do this skip, and when you dropped in the arena, they would actually be glitched out. So all you're doing this first time is just getting their health bars to pop up. You can see, boom, we got it. I could quit out right now if I wanted to, and that's ideal. As soon as you see their health bars, you quit out. But you can see I can actually go through here and, you know, pseudo fight them if I wanted to. And then we quit out. Anyway, so yeah, I was just showing off. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You could actually do the whole fight and get the last shadow down to one hit and then quit out and do this glitch still. Not that anybody would ever do that. I'm just saying. Okay, now for the drop that actually matters, because you want to do it, you know, quickly. It's I don't always get it, but what I pretty much go for when I spawn back in is I kind of move towards those graves just above my head here, kind of at them, just to their right maybe, and I try and get not a hard fall and start spamming circle like so. Like I said, it's kind of precise, but that's usually what I try for. That way I'm not getting a hard fall. So as we've been running, we put on our hunter mark, which we'll need later. We put on our beast blood putt, which we need for the shadows fight. And in all the craziness, I'd forgotten to equip my solid cleaver and hunter pistol. Anyway, so you get all the straight lines in this game as you're running. Like say I'm running to that grave, like as I'm running here, make sure you're at full sprint speed and then pull up your menu and do what menuing you need to do. If you wait, like say you're running and you exhaust your stamina, let's get it all the way down, and then you pull up your menu, you see how I'm slow running? Like I can't sprint with my menu up now. You want to already be sprinting, because one, it'll keep you at that speed until your stamina bar runs out, and two, it doesn't automatically use it like it would in like a DS3 or something. So we ideally want to start sprinting, already be sprinting, do our menuing, whatever, and then hit options to cancel out of everything. You can actually like pull up your menu, go into say like this or something, and then if you hit circle, it's gonna go no, and then you hit circle again, nothing's gonna happen. You have to hit X, and then you hit circle, and you hit circle. So to cancel out all that at the same time, just hit options. Anyway, so we just did the shadows freeze. Now come over about here, pop your pellet. Okay, the main focus of this is to build up meter quickly and then keep an eye on the katana guy, which is the middle shadow right now. You want to be doing a lot of R1 L1s to sort of hit them all at relatively the same, or most at the same time, as much as you can. But it's a little tricky to do. I like to reline them up with a couple R1s sometimes as well. Get them all up nice and grouped together. And just spam this boy down once they're dead. That's actually a really nice fight. Not gonna lie. Just for the sake of trying to help out with this shadows freeze again, I'm actually gonna load that back up one more time and do the whole thing. trying to explain it as best I can. And I cannot emphasize this enough. If my setup doesn't work for you, which it doesn't even work for me all the time, I'm really actually pretty bad at skips. If my setup doesn't work for you, keep in mind there's tons of ways to do these skips, and different runners sometimes do different things. So feel free to test out other people's methods or try and find something that works for you. I really can't emphasize that enough. It's really important. And it could lead to faster setups, you know, if you do a bit of exploring of your own and testing. It's always good for the community as a whole. Okay, so we're back here. I'm gonna go ahead and equip my weapons now. Anyway, so sort of run this direction, kind of hug the right a little bit, run and jump here, kind of hug this right side. Once I start sprinting, I jump into the invisible wall, go over here to get lined up, kind of roll into it to get my character nice and snug, start sprinting and slightly turn, slightly, once I start moving, 90-degree angle to the right roughly, and then here we're gonna kind of hug and go around it, and then go between this, go down this way, go ahead and pull up my menu to quit out. As soon as you see their health bar, quit out. This, I don't know, this skip is, it's a bit of a pain. For me, I've lost so much time to it and so many runs that it's just one of those skips. Like some days I get it and some days I don't. Once you hit bottom, try and roll out of it. And we already got our weapon equipped. Pop your pellet about here, start cleaving them down. A lot of L1s is good at the beginning to build up meter. You can get it full pretty fast. But also, instead of just building up meter, at this point it's mainly just to hit multiple ones at the same time. And this is one of those quote-unquote fights that some people might do a little bit differently depending on who you're watching. I like to kind of reline them up with R1s and just R1, L1. Cleave them all. But again, the main one to hit as much as you can is that katana guy, because his health is so much higher than everybody else's. When they die, just obviously start sprinting, and once you get right past this guy, what I like to do is just sort of jump and then pull up my quit out menu. You don't have to jump. Usually, if you're gonna jump quit out, you usually want your stamina bar to be like the lowest possible, just enough for you to be able to jump and then quit out. So that gives you time to pull up the quit out menu before your character lands. Sort of gives you more value for your stamina bar. Carries you a bit further. Okay, so we quit out about here. What that does is allows us to de-aggro the bug boy right there behind us. See him in the distance? So we're far enough away where he won't aggro. You got a pretty big ways. He doesn't see that well. Anyway, so we quit out about here-ish. You know, it doesn't matter. Anywhere in this general area. What I would recommend. Just to my left here, there's a Madman's Knowledge. Since we're doing the more optimal route, I'm going to skip it. But things like vials, extra vial pickups are nice if you're learning a run. Like I said, like I could go from picking up this Madman's Knowledge to 5 runs from now, just skipping it entirely. You know, really nice, simple way to be less peachy. The 2 vials at the beginning right by the wolf, you could pick those up. Maybe a few runs later you decide not to. Really easy thing to add in and remove as you see fit. So anyway, so yeah, we come in from here, from the quit out. We go straight up to this Bergenworth lamp. X for this. You're gonna be doing a lot of spamming if you're doing optimal menuing in this game. It's a really weird thing. If you played Bloodborne for any length of time, you might have gotten used to it by now though. Okay, for the dream segment, run up to the doll and just do regular R1s. So 1, 2, 3, and then L1. So 3 R1s into an L1. Kill her efficiently. As she's dying, you want to move over here to get the beckoning bell. And the beckoning bell and silencing blank, they're not necessary items for the run. you're just getting them out of the way while she's dying. You're sort of using her death, since you can't interact with her immediately. You're sort of using your time wisely. So you kill her 1, 2, 3, 4. I kind of sprint over here, grab this, and then move over her as she's dying. Pull this up, move down to strength. Now there's soft caps and hard caps in this game. So with this optimal route, what you want to do is get the soft cap for strength as soon as possible. So, which is 25. So you can see our right hand weapon, one attack is at 98, and we're kind of dumping. Our weapon's not upgraded right now, so you're not getting as much value, but you're getting as much value as you can, given that your weapon's a +0 at the moment. So we dump everything we can into strength. So you can see we get the soft cap right off the bat. And then we're gonna okay this, cancel out, and sort of roll over here. This is the first time we've interacted with the gravestone, so you're gonna have this pop up. And then, okay, here's something. In general, there's actually one, maybe 2 times you go to gravestones like this that you want to press down. I would say almost always, though, except for those couple of exceptions, which I'll cover when we get there. You usually just want to press up. Just get in the habit whenever you get up here. Just press up once. And then there's other ones where you're going to press up twice or maybe 3 times. And then occasionally you want to press down. But for the most part, I'd say just get used to pressing up. Because you get the same results here with 2 options. Down or up does the same thing. Anyway. Okay, so now we're going to go to Central Yharnam. This is going to be the end of the first part of this tutorial, and we'll pick up next with the Central Yharnam segment, including sewer skip, ladder cancel warp, Gascoigne fight, and probably a couple other things. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.